before I became a targeter, I actually used some targeting skills without even knowing. Like had just started applying for the CIA at the time, and I think I've told you before, I came in actually as a sous, not a targeter. I became a targeter after doing some interims there, and but so before any of that even happened, I actually used some targeting natural skills to uncover my cheating boyfriend.
I remember this story.
And it was great. It was so satisfying.
So talk about this is so yes. I absolutely want to unpack that story. But this is a fantastic example of obsessions gone wrong. This whole ex-boyfriend of yours, right? The last boyfriend you had before you met me was, I mean, the only way I have ever been able to rationalize in my head why you spent as much time as you did with him was because of this strange, to me, but very clearly very natural to you, like obsession. You were with this guy for 7 years.
7 years.
And he was a loser.
Wow.
He was like, I'm pretty sure that there's a definition out there of what loser is. And this guy fits everyone. He didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I don't think he had an education. He was a pothead. Yeah. He was like, and then he was cheating on you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to see, like, I'm sorry. I think that objectively, all of this fits under the category of loser, but you continued like, just to stay with this guy to the place where you were like planning a wedding. You were waiting for him to propose.
I was waiting and waiting.
And I'm not saying that you were dumb or stupid or anything like that. I get it. We've met and we've been the people who have been in these like relationships that aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
For a long period of time. So I guess my question is, before we get to your story about your weird how you decided to start stalking him while you were still dating him kind of thing. But I mean, is that essentially the future that we have to think about for Sina? Like, will our son potentially fall into that same pattern, in love with somebody who essentially doesn't deserve him?
That's a great question. So yes, I think that with somebody like him, we will have to be, I think we'll have to be diligent in keeping open lines of communication so that if we see signs that, the relationship really isn't good for him, then we can have those conversations with him, because he's going to convince himself otherwise, right? And that's what I did for like the first 4 years. I convinced myself, right? The relationship wasn't bad in the beginning, but it slowly started to devolve. And then I convinced myself that he was the one. And so I kept myself, like, no matter what it was, I just kept myself going until I actually, around year 4, I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I broke up with him, and then he convinced me to take him back. And we did that like 2 more times. And in the end, I was like, I just don't know. I didn't know how to get out at that point, right? Because I had been doing the same thing for so long. I'd gotten myself into a pattern. So I definitely think, for a certain type of personality, that's something to look out for.
I'm not talking about a certain type of personality. I'm talking about our son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think for sure. Yeah. And
because your parents and your sister and your friends, they all tried to warn you.
Yeah. Well, we're also people pleasers on top of it. So, maybe it starts with an obsession, but then you get to a point where you're people pleasing.
It's a duty.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. It's not just about being interested now. It's also about pleasing the other people around you.
Right.
And then I'm sure there's an element of ego, because this is what people don't know about you. What people don't know about you.
What?
Because they don't live in our world.
That I'm the most humble person.
You have this massive ego. You have this massive ego, and at least I also have a big ego, but I talk about it and I try to challenge it, and I try to depower it by admitting it. You don't even admit it. Like, you're like, I don't have an ego.
There's been a lot of therapy. Yeah, that's a lot of therapy after that relationship.
But along with that, you've got this ego to maintain.
Yeah.
So even though you must have suspected this guy was not worth your time, you must have suspected he was cheating on you, you took action. I mean, I want to hear the story about how you took action to uncover his cheating, but you still kept in it.
I know.
So I'm not criticizing you as much as what I'm trying to do is understand what to expect for our son. Because I've learned so much about him.
Yeah.
Because when I talk to you, I feel like I get a chance to talk to an adult version of where he's going, right? Your obsession with books is like his obsession with books.
Yeah.
And your obsession with story is like his obsession with story. You guys see art in very similar ways. He doesn't like to do things. He doesn't like to perfect things and do things thoroughly. Neither do you. You like to dabble.
I do.
You like it when a story is given to you. You like it when a finished product is given to you, but you don't like to be the one that has to finish the product, right? And so it's really interesting to me because I get to study and adapt my parenting to him by asking you, like, can you help me understand what's happening in his head? If you like this short clip, make sure you click here to see the next clip or here to see the full podcast episode.